What is up, guys? Side Hustle Pros, episode number 6. Thanks for tuning in. Tristan and I have been, again, just like the last episode number 5 that we did with Ashley. Schedule's been nuts, end of summer, trips, all that kind of stuff. I just got back from a week-long conference in Utah, which is amazing, but that's taking time away from what we were given for you guys. So I wanted to do something that is going to be super exciting. Because it's something we were wanting to do anyways in our personal business, and it's really tackle Q4, because those of you that follow us know that last year we are completely transparent. We told you guys right up front last year when we did our 1 year report, we didn't do Q4. Like, I even look back at my, Chris, you'll get a kick out of this. I look back at my shipments. I did maybe 2 shipments for 3 months. It was ridiculous because I don't even know what we were doing back then. It was a combination of laziness, spreading myself too thin. It's been a whirlwind of a year, so I've learned to really hone in. So Q4, Amazon, eBay, we are all in with it this year. So I wanted to start bringing some people on that have been in this industry way longer than I have, doing way better than we are. And we want to start learning from these guys. So Chris Anderson is our special guest tonight. He's been crushing it for how many Q4s have you done?
This is number 3.
Okay.
Or 4, I think.
Yeah, so he's been in this a while. He's crushed it every Q4 and primarily doing RA and OA, which is why I wanted to bring him on, because that's something we love to do. It's funny how, even though there's so many, I'm trying to think of the right wording for this, not necessarily smarter methods like wholesale PL, that kind of stuff. There's something about going out and finding the stuff. It's like that treasure hunter's high. I love it. I know, Chris, you're in that same boat. You love it too. So I wanted to bring Chris on tonight and pretty much share a little bit about himself, his story, and give you guys some tips on what we're going to do for this Q4. And there's a special little announcement at the end of this that I am freaking excited for. So before we dive in, we want to do a quick audio check. I know somebody's put sound with a question mark. If you're having trouble with sound, just hit refresh on the whole YouTube page, and it should pop back up. But aside from that, Chris, I shot over the link to your Facebook, so if you want to spread that out to your peeps too.
Yeah, already did. Cool, you guys can hear me, I assume.
Yeah, give us thumbs up, drop a comment in the chat, let us know if you guys can hear us. And we will dive in with the Q4 madness. All right, sweet. Looks like we are golden, good to go. Awesome. Well, you guys hear me talk every week. So, Chris, floor is yours, my friend. Where did you start? How did you find out about FBA?
Well, it's been a while. I really started doing... Hey, I hear myself echo.
Are you hearing yourself echo?
Yeah.
Okay, let me actually change my mic.
Charles, do you have it set on? No, I don't hear any echo now. I don't hear you at all, though.
All right, what about now?
Okay. Hey, and I don't hear an echo. Perfect. And we can hear you. Sweet.
Golden.
Okay. So I actually started like on eBay when I was like 15, 16 years old. You know, I was blown away that you could find stuff at yard sales that you could sell on on eBay for a profit. And I loved doing that, and I was always like hustling when I was a kid. I would mow lawns. Had a lawn service that eventually sold when I was in college, but I had maybe 20 to 30 lawns that I was mowing, that kind of stuff. And I went to college, ran out of time for it, but I still kind of did the eBay stuff for a long time. When I was in high school, I got into building BattleBots, and I bought all of a machine shop to build these robots. If you're not familiar, they're like fighting robots. So I had this machine shop, and I wanted to try to figure out ways to make money with it. So I started making jewelry, and I started making like custom body jewelry and stuff like that. But then I switched over to making wedding and engagement rings. And I spent a lot of time making, becoming a pretty proficient jeweler and gemologist. I did that for a while. Jewelry has Q4, just like everything else does. The #1 day of the year to get engaged is actually Thanksgiving. You get the woman in front of your family. She's turkey drunk, and you ask the question. She can't say no. So I was pretty used to Q4 by then. I kind of I had some issues with the business, and jewelry's not as profitable as people would think it is. A $200,000 year on Etsy probably netted me 30 grand in take home. Yeah. So that was tough. So I actually had a job where I was working for a jewelry store as a salesman, because like I had so much free time during the summer. Like I didn't sell anything. So I was working that, and he kind of turned me on to Amazon. He was an early merchant fulfilled seller, and he was selling like Fortis, Omega, Rolexes, all brand new on Amazon. And then we were selling used watches on eBay. And I mean, he was a multi-million, he had a Rolex dealership. So like a Rolex dealership's about $5 million bucks. Pretty impressive. So I was working with him, and I kind of learned about it, but we were all doing merchant fulfillment. Okay. At the time, this was probably 2008. I don't even know that FBA existed, but of course nobody would FBA a $5,000 Fortis watch. That would be a bad idea.
Now with that customer return potential.
No, yeah, very bad return potential. So I worked there for a while. I ended up moving out to central Pennsylvania, and then I restarted my jewelry business, because when I lived in New Jersey, 30 grand a year was not good. When I lived in Pennsylvania, it was good. By the way, along the lines, I went to college at some point, and I worked as a junior engineer and as a draftsman and machinist and stuff like that. But once I got out here, I did a Kickstarter, and for jewelry, for bracelets. And my Kickstarter is great. I was like almost quadruple funded. It all worked real well. And then I was like, oh, well, I remember selling jewelry on Amazon. Let me sell jewelry on Amazon. And I then discovered that that's not, it actually is a good plan for the type of jewelry. These are like $35 price points. So, jewelry's not great on Amazon, but this would be good on Amazon. I did some research and found Ryan Grant's blog, and then he references Chris Green's book. So I bought the book. At the time, I had a full-time job working for a company called Assurion, which is the largest provider of warranty and customer service, second largest provider of warranty and customer service in the country. I was working with them doing that, and I did my Kickstarter. I got $3,500 for the Kickstarter. After I fulfilled the Kickstarter, I had about $3,500 left. I used that money to buy my first inventory. It was right around August, and I got it sent into Amazon, and I just kind of went for it. I had $3,500, and I spent $3,500. And I got everything in. I got some help from my family and friends with, shopping and getting stuff out. That first Q4, I did about 30 to 40. I didn't have inventory left. I should have had it. I did right around $30,000 to $40,000 that first Q4.
Nice.
And I've never looked back. I was full-time by January. I was working 1 day a week at my job because they had these crazy bonuses that I could make. I was making like $30 an hour 1 day a week. So I was like, I'll just keep the job.
Yeah.
And I would go in, and that was pretty cool. But eventually that got cumbersome, and I quit. And ever since then, I do Amazon full time. I've recently expanded. I have a warehouse now. I have a full-time employee and 2 part-time employees. Should actually say I have 2 full-time employees. I just had to write checks today, and one of those part-time employees got a lot of hours in last week, but that's okay. We got a lot out. So I've been doing that. I still do eBay. I very rarely, if people really beg me and pay me enough, I'll do some wedding rings and engagement rings or stuff like that. But that's about it. Just kind of hustle jewelry stuff sometimes, a little consulting here and there, maybe a little engineering here and there when I'm bored, and that's about it.
I like how you casually just that's kind of it. Dude, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of the type that from an early stage you knew you wanted to be self-employed.
Yeah, I wanted to be an inventor.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what I've always wanted to be. What I've discovered is that being an inventor does not pay well unless you're the Dyson or the Elon Musks of the world. Mm-hmm. So I discovered that that was not good. But I actually hold patents. I've co-on patents and actually hold my own patents. So that's been good for me. But you know, with like with selling stuff, you know, the thing with inventing something is you can have the best invention in the world, but if nobody buys it, is it really that good? So when it comes to like the e-commerce stuff, that's where, you know, I have a private label product that I'm bringing out that like is an invention. Like I invented it, and it's going to go on Amazon, and like, you know, that's really exciting.
No, that's amazing. So transition into you hit that first Q4, did 30K. Were you doing any OA at the time? Were you doing just RA going into the retail stores? What was kind of your game plan for that first time around?
Well, let's fast. How long have you been on Amazon?
This is going to be 2 years.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is 3 years ago. I should have, you know, I knew you were going to ask me the hard question. Hey, how long have you been doing this? But 3 years ago, what was FBA? So Inventory Lab had just come out. It hadn't been out that long. No OA X-ray, no tactical arbitrage, no nothing. You had Keepa and you had Camel, 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 and a Dream. Okay.
Did you have the sellers app back then?
They had the sellers app. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, but I have Inventory Lab. I didn't have Scoutify. I mean, I honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, I got lucky. I could have lost all my money that first, you know, with those buys. So let's, you know, it wasn't a good idea because I wasn't checking, you know, I was checking rank, but I wasn't like looking at Keepa or anything that I should have been doing that I do now. So that was not the best idea on my part, but it worked out okay. Yeah. But I mean, so as far as OA goes, you know, when people talk about how efficient OA is, it's efficient now because we have these amazing tools, you know, tactical arbitrage, where you can scan thousands of items in an hour. Whereas back then it was basically retail arbitrage in front of a computer screen. So it was not good. You also didn't have flow. You couldn't take, you know, there's a lot of times with TA, you can pull using flow and it'll automatically pull in. By the way, just so you know, that's not a serial killer behind me. That's my wife.
You're funny.
So, but anyway, so I started out, but the first store I ever shopped at was Target. And I walked in and they had these Rydell glasses, wine glasses. And like, I didn't know about rank really. And, you know, I bought these. Now I would have never bought them, but I mean, they were like $8. They're selling on Amazon for 40. And thankfully it was Q4 because they did sell for me. But I also got real lucky. Like, I had a store near me that later turned out to be a front for heroin smuggling. But they had, I didn't know that at the time, by the way, but they had crazy cheap stuff, like crazy cheap, like 90-minute cassette 2-packs for 50 cents. And if you don't know what those are, they're about $20 on Amazon. So I was able to really quickly, so I got lucky. I was turning over rocks that nobody had ever turned over. So, you know, it's not like today where I know that there's 5 or 6 sellers in my area. So slim pickings can be a little bit slim, but back then, I mean, it was crazy.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that you, even when you didn't have what we, I mean, especially with what we have now, you didn't have any of that stuff to access to. So really half of it wasn't even the research. It was just a gut instinct for you.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. You know, I made some mistakes. I was recently going through old inventory, and I don't really like to pull inventory, even if I'm going to hit LT long-term storage fees. So I actually found out that I have some inventory from 2015 that I just, some books I bought, but I bought these books at a gas station, like,
Of course, at the time, you were probably super excited to send those in too.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Probably, but
nice. So moving forward, because a large group of our audience is all based on beginners. So if you were to look at your foundation, and let's say that somebody has a 500, maybe $1,000, and they want to really get into Q4 and do it right, what are a few tips that you would start to give those?
Well, the number one thing is to just do something. Do something. There's too many people I talk to and they say, hey, I want to do FBA. Okay. Do it. You know, like it's not that difficult. And I know that it probably, you know, you probably are so overwhelmed with like all the talk that like, you know, people at the next level are talking about, where they're, you know, getting really analytical and crazy with stuff, but you don't need to be that crazy with it. So like literally, if all you do is send in, like I always tell people, if you want to learn how to make a shipment, send in a book, like one book. That's it, you know, and you'll start to get familiar with it and get the confidence that you need, and you'll be able to make good decisions without, you know, that overwhelming fear, you know. And I get that still, like when I'm bringing forth a private label product, like I am afraid, okay, but the little steps that I've done, you know, hiring a graphic designer, hiring, you know, a photographer, doing the photography and that kind of stuff, every little step, when you look at this big massive thing of an FBA business or a whole, you know, if you're looking at my business where I have, sorry about that, somebody was peeling out in front of my house. If you look at my business where I have, you know, employees in a warehouse, and if you're starting from zero and you want to be there, you can. Don't get me wrong, but you're not going to be there tomorrow, and you're not going to be there next month, or, you know, in 3 months. Maybe, I don't know, you could potentially, but you got to look at all of the little steps to get there. And if you're going to start with $500, my recommendation would be, you know, I sell a lot of, I sell less books, but I've done very well with books. Books are a real easy way to get money out, you know, picking up books for $1 and selling them for 20. It's out there. Goodwill, go scan away at Goodwill, you know, and it's not, that's a great way to start when people even have less. You know, when people come to me, I have friends that all the time, they're like, hey, I have $100. I have zero money. How do I start a business? You know, and like zero money, merch. $100, sell books. You know, it's not difficult. You know, look around your house. You know, I also tell people to look around their house. There's so much stuff that you probably have sitting around your house that you could flip on eBay to turn that 500 into 1,000 or 2,000. And then you're really, I mean, if you can start FBA with $5,000, I mean, if you make good buying decisions, you could have $5,000 the next month. I mean, you could literally full time within a month. I mean, that would be tricky, but you could. It's not impossible.
I love what you brought up with the fact that you're going to learn more through experience, guys. Anyone who's been following me for a while, you know that I've said this time and time again. And it's contradictory to what I do here on YouTube. Like, I create all these videos to help you guys learn the basics of all this. But I honestly don't care if you watch 1,000 videos. I don't care if you read all the blogs, read all the books. It's all going to mean nothing unless you just go through those first steps yourself, because experience is the best learner. You'll learn more through sending in your first Amazon FBA shipment or listing your first eBay product, selling it, and shipping it than you ever would just watching videos all day long. And Toronto Greenhouse commented, I know a guy who has been talking about FBA for 2 years with still no action. Yeah, it's a prime example, guys. So I love that you brought that up. And if you guys have any questions along the way, this is kind of open Q&A hangout session. So drop your questions over there. Anything Q4 related, that's what we're here for, guys.
Well, anything FBA, just anything. It doesn't have to be Q4. Let me ask you this. Ooh, I am echoing again. Let me make sure it's not. Okay, it's gone. Okay. This might be a weird question, but do you like Kanye West?
I can't say I will look him up on Spotify if I'm listening to music, but if a song comes on, yeah, I'll listen to it.
One of the things that I love about Kanye West, there's a song that he does. If you guys want to listen to if you like rap, or even if you don't, listen to this song. It's called "Last Call" by Kanye West. So I'm not a big rap fan, but I think that Kanye West is just a musical genius. Okay, he's just really is. This song, it's 12 minutes long. So the first 5 minutes of it are actually song. And then he has a 7-minute part where he explains how he went from being just some kid in his bedroom to being Kanye West. And, you know, he explains, like, me and my mom got evicted. Me and my mom moved into an apartment. I was broke, like all of this stuff. And the thing is I think that a lot of people that get to any gauge of success, they want this like attitude of like no man, or of like, you know, I did it all myself. I didn't have help. Like, you should see the number of messages I sent Chris Green, the amount of stuff I've learned with Tyler Nelson, I don't know if I ever messaged you. I've messaged Sean. You know what I mean? All these things, and I still make mistakes. I'm going to tell you a mistake I made the other day. So, meltable season is over. I sell a good amount of grocery. Meltable season is over. I go out to my grocery supplier. I buy, I think it was a gross. It was 12 cases of chocolate. Okay, I'm excited. So I throw it in my cargo van. I bring it back to the warehouse, and I forgot about it. And my cargo van sits in the sun.
Oh no!
And I open my cargo van, and just the heat hits me. It was like 90 degrees in Pennsylvania. This was like a week before meltable season because I was buying it to like get it prepped to send it in a week later, and it all melted. And and I think so many people don't want to talk about their mistakes because they think that it makes them look less, I don't know, professional. But the thing is if you're not making mistakes, you're doing it too easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and there is nothing wrong with that. And I think that it's best to admit that you made a mistake and maybe share it, because now other people know, don't leave your chocolate in a cargo van. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's totally true. I just made one actually today. So I scored this TI 84 Plus calculator, factory sealed, $40. I'm like, sweet, that's an easy $90 flip. Send it into Amazon. It checks in. I just happened to scroll on Facebook Marketplace where I bought it from, and I saw that same listing I bought it off of. But one thing caught my eye. It was a CE edition, not the Plus edition. And so that one little variation means it's a different product that should be on a different listing. So just this morning, I caught that mistake, and I had to go through and I had to pull it from inventory. So now it's going to take up to 2 weeks to get back to me so I can put a new label on it and send it back in Amazon, take another week to go active.
Are you still going to make money on the CE edition?
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm actually going to make more. That's why I was kind of like, I'll probably make about $20 more.
Not bad.
So
not bad. I mean, there's mistakes that everybody makes.
Yep. So, and yeah, no matter what level you guys get on, I mean, we both know multi-million-dollar sellers that it's going to be mistake after mistake. Whether or not they like to own up to them, that's a different story.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, also a lot of people won't admit to buying bad inventory. I buy bad inventory all the time, but I buy enough good inventory that doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. You buy 100 items and 10 of them flop. Who cares?
I love, so we got a question here. This is a good one. So Q4, obviously we're talking about seasons, right? Quarters. Mm-hmm. There's 3 months per quarter. So Q4 technically just started, but Chris, you and I both know. So go ahead and explain, when does our reselling Q4 technically start?
Well, it kind of depends on what you're selling. Our Q4 probably, I really noticed the big bump about the week of Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. About that week. So what's that? The third week in November?
Yep.
Roughly there. But the preparation for this could be, months. I found out about Halloween candy. You got to order that stuff in March.
Wow.
Yeah, Christmas candy, May. So missed the boat on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, my sales have been strong. So September was not a great month for me. I was down a little bit from August. Okay. But I did a lot with back to school. So that kind of saved me on a lot of stuff, but a lot of my grocery stuff was down, which, okay, fine. But now I've gotten more stock of my really good replens in. I had kind of gone out. The supplier for those were out for a couple weeks, so I just got those in. They just started kind of kicking in. So I'm up pretty well from last week. But where I'm going to really see the craziness I'm expecting is right around in November. And that's where I'm going to go from, start seeing 5-figure days every day.
Awesome. Yeah, and I love what you said too. Even though we didn't do Q4 necessarily last year, it was definitely that whole like Black Friday weekend. That's where everything just kind of went nuts. So especially right after Black Friday, that peak season is going to be Black Friday till. Do you typically see like a week before Christmas, or when's kind of that cutoff?
I mean, if you're doing merchant fulfillment, you'll see it until I want to say okay, I might be wrong about this date, okay, because they have I don't think they've given out the shipping dates yet. Okay, but if freaking train. And now I got to keep it. Okay, so there's like a train track right by my house. Like it's on the other side of a mountain. Okay, yeah. But as soon as you hear that horn, it's going to be like 15 minutes of a train. Man. Oh man. So anyway, the many sounds of Chris's house.
I love it.
I think December 22nd is the last day you can ship merchant fulfilled. Okay. However, remember, after Christmas, people spend their Amazon gift cards. And people are going to be buying themselves gifts, okay? Because, yeah, I was looking through the custom notes, the notes that the customers were last year after it was actually on Christmas Day. Somebody ordered something and said "Merry Christmas" to myself. So you know, there's going to be people. There's also going to be, you know, hey, you bought me an Xbox One, but I got 2 kids and I only got 1 controller. Let me buy that controller. Or oh, I got an Xbox One, I need this game, and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, like I think people have this impression that it's like this big mountain and then boom. It's not that way. You know, and if you roll yourself right, you'll be fine. I mean, my January was as big as my December. It was within $5,000 of my December. So
awesome. That's what I love about this Q4 game, guys. And yeah, like Chris said, don't think that Christmas is the cutoff date. There's certain cutoff dates to get your stuff in for Christmas orders to be shipped in time. But yeah, January, just like Chris said, can be strong, if not stronger, depending what you're selling, how you're pricing, all that kind of stuff. But it can be just as strong as your actual Christmas month.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, you know, people freak out about Q4 because it is the best. But if you align yourself, I mean, if you're doing grocery and you're doing candy, what's the difference between Q4 and Valentine's Day? You know, what's the difference between Christmas and Valentine's Day? If you sell a bunch of chocolate or lingerie or whatever people buy for Valentine's Day, and you can use, there's a lot of good tools out there to figure this stuff out. You know, Keepa, camel, that kind of stuff. But then you got Memorial Day. Is it Memorial Day that's first? Which one's first?
Yeah, I'm so horrible on my holidays.
Okay, either Memorial or Labor Day. You got people are going to be starting up the barbecue. They're going to need barbecue stuff. You know, you got 4th of July. If they haven't started barbecuing by then, they're going to need it by then. You got bathing suits, swimwear, anything with a flag on it, you know, and then you got, you know, into Labor Day or the next holiday. You know, there's so much going on throughout the year that I think people lose focus of these. And that's what can I recommend a book?
Totally.
Okay. Buy this book. It's called Profit First. Okay. And buy it from the publisher. They're on the listing. And they're not the cheapest one, but buy it new from the publisher. So when you get it, you'll get Profit First, and they give you a free copy of another book called Surge. And it's also signed by the author, which is kind of lame. But, well, no, it's cool, but it's also kind of funny. Like, you get a signed copy of a business textbook. But the book Surge is about leveraging your business to be profitable all year round. And that was something like in jewelry that was always a thing, because we had, you know, Christmas was huge, Thanksgiving was huge. But then we had, you know, wedding season is in, you know, spring, but then we had gold buying season. There's actually a gold buying season, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, you can find these surges in these good times all year round. Do we have a question?
Yeah, just kind of browsing through these comments here. Yeah, I guess if you have anything FBA related Q4, just drop those. We'll get those answered for you. For back to school, should we buy the stuff that's still sitting on the shelf that's really cheap?
What do you mean? Like, do you think they're talking clearance?
Probably. Jason, if you can clarify, I think what he's talking about, I know like right now, Walmarts and Targets, they have all their binders and pencils and stuff is cents right now.
Yeah. Look it up, man. Look it up on Keepa, or on, oh my God, I keep saying Keepa. Camel, or Keepa. I mean, stuff like that sells year round. Backpacks sell year round. Markers, crayons. I did buy a liquidation lot of Crayola crayons. Crayon. You can tell I'm from New Jersey. I say crayons. So I bought a liquidation lot, about a pallet of them, for pennies, like literally pennies a unit. And you know, they sell for $5 all year round. And I think consistently the toys are ranked like right now, like during back to school, they were like 1 or 2, but the rest of the year they're like 5,000. Nobody, you know, who's going to sneeze at our 5,000 ranked toy? That's a great thing.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Jason says, as a mailman, I can attest to the Q4 being between right now and almost the end of January. I feel like the nightmare is over. Yeah, you can attest to that. Can you talk about your RA versus OA scouting? Do you do more one than the other? I'm doing very well with RA, but have not found one good deal yet on OA.
I mean, it took me. I'm going to tell you, it took me a few months to really get tactical arbitrage. Like, not, you know, when I say real good, I don't mean real good. Like, I would like to right now consider myself really good with it. And I've been using it. I got it like the first month it came out. Okay. So it's been a while. But it's something, what I found, and one of probably the biggest tip, I kind of like jotted down some Q4 tips, and this is one that I want to give. So there's somebody in here that's a mailman. He's got a full-time job. Being successful in this business is all about scheduling this business, you know, and people that are part-time in FBA, they don't schedule the business right. They just, oh, I'll do it when I have time. No, you do a hobby when you have time. This is, okay, Saturdays. Saturdays is my FBA day. You know, I go shopping. Sunday, I watch my kids. They go to bed. I pack everything, send it out Monday. You know, that's a realistic schedule that somebody could potentially use. Or I drop my kid off to karate and I go to Walmart and search. Like, and I do that 3 days a week or something like that. You can do that. Okay. So the thing is, to answer that question is, if you're not successful with OA, you need to schedule more time with OA, because it all comes down to time and familiarity with it. And probably I actually did a video, and I can share it with you guys if you search why you're failing at TA and how to fix it. Okay. And I talk about, you know, I actually have done, I don't do it anymore, but I've done coachings for people that have TA. Okay. And they sit down one-on-one with me, and I'm like, okay, let me watch you do a search. And the first thing I do is they're like, okay, so I'm going to do a toy search. I'm going to do this section on Walmart. I want 100% ROI and everything under 10K in toys. Search. And I'm like, okay, well, how many items do you think you're going to find? I'm like, well, I'm not finding anything. I'm like, yeah, I know. You know, you're not. So the thing is that when you start to search, and it's one of those things like with RA, the hardest thing when I walk into a store is to find item number one. Once you find item number one, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. So, you know, when you go out and you're doing that day-long trip, I love to do travel trips where I have a big cargo van, I have an E250 extended cab, and I drive out to Harrisburg. It's 2 hours away. And if I walk in my first store and I swing out, like, bad day. But if I walk in my first store, first thing I pick up and I'm like, scan, oh, profitable. I literally did this the other day. I walked into a store, first thing I scanned, $10. I was like, nice. So that, then it just puts the tempo for the whole day. And it's the same way with OA or RA. If you're great with OA and struggling or whatever you do, if you can just get that first find and schedule to get that, you're golden.
Yeah, nailed it right on the head. You guys, I mean, this is life, right? Anything you want to get better at, you have to put time and practice into. I always say this, you know, NFL teams don't win the Super Bowl by playing the one Super Bowl game, right? They win by the practices that they put in. It's the same thing. As you guys want to get better OA, you've got to put in the time. You've got to put in the mistakes. And if you are using TA, which for those of you who don't know is tactical arbitrage software that can scan websites for you based on your filters, you got to loosen those things up, guys. Like, don't put in the 100% ROI and super strict filters. You're really going to limit what you're doing, but it really just comes down to that practice.
I'll tell you. Do you want me to tell you what filters I use?
Yeah, go for it.
None. I run it. Okay. So depending on what I'm scanning, okay, let's say I'm doing grocery, I'll do 10%, $1 for the ROI filter, and then I'll do like 300,000 for the rank filter over 90 days. I like to do it over 90 days, but you could do it fixed or over 90 days, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's it. Nothing else. I don't care how many sellers are on. I don't care what the rank or the stars are. I don't care.
Yep. I love it. I love it. Somebody said they often find pens on clearance that are amazing. You guys keep in mind too, like, you know, talking about kind of the trends with the office supplies and school supplies. Just because you scan something is not profitable right now, because right now there probably are not going to be a ton of profit in those. Look at the Keepa history. That's why Keepa is so important, guys, or Camel, whichever one you want to use. But it's so important to do that because you're looking at, okay, it may not be profitable right now, but 2 months from now, based on last year, I see a big trend, a big spike. So some of this stuff, I mean, it's a game. You have to see kind of how long you have to wait on it versus how much you're putting into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Looks like Dennis Cross is from Easton. Yeah, I thought I said Easton, Pennsylvania. How far are you from Easton?
I gotta go out. I gotta go out and beat him up.
Gotcha.
I lit the nearest big town that anybody would have ever. I live right between State College and Altoona, Pennsylvania.
I have no idea where those are, but that's cool.
Yeah, I live about half an hour from Walmart.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's rough. There's one Walgreens within 100 miles of me.
Dang.
Same with Toys R Us.
Okay.
You know, 2 Kohl's within 100 miles. It's rough.
Dang. But prime example of you schedule that time out, you can drive 2 hours out to find stuff.
I do that all the time. I just went out to Pittsburgh. Did I tell you about this? I went to a pitch fest for a training program.
No, I did not hear that. For FBA.
Yeah, I will.
Hilarious.
I recorded the whole thing. I went to. I'm not going to name names yet, but I went to a pay $1,000 for a 3-day training and then get pitched a $35,000 training thing with another seller, Brandon Trainer. You're gonna, if you've never met him, he's going to be on the cruise with us. But we did that, and we left. I want to say I left at noon. Filled my cargo van like to the brim at one store in Pittsburgh, and then went to it. Me and one of my assistants just hung out with him. You know, got some drinks and burgers afterwards, and drove home. Like, real good day. You know, if we wouldn't have done that webinar, I'll do day trips all the time. You know, I'm a night owl, so like I don't wake up until noon. So I'll leave my house at noon, roll into my first store at 2, and like just shop for 8 hours, come home at midnight, unload, you know.
I love that. I laugh because I went through a similar thing. So I found out about FBA through one of those little seminars. And it was the who was it? They were advertising Les Brown coming to Portland. So I was all pumped up to go watch Les Brown, one of my favorite speakers. And it turns out he wasn't even there in person. It was a recording. But they had, you guys know how these sales pitches go, right? They lead you in with like a $30 seat or a free seat, and they'll have 8 different speakers. One talks about real estate, one covers stocks, and this guy stands up, he talks about Amazon, eBay. So I bought into his $49 3-day course, and same thing, they pitched the $20,000 program after that. I declined all of it, said, nope, I got the info I need, went home and started scanning. That's kind of how I get that started. So I know exactly what you're talking about with those sales pitches.
Oh yeah. It's interesting. I will leave with one thing that the guy said that it just really bothered me. He said 91% of all Amazon sellers make $10,000 a month.
Wow.
Like flat out. He had a graph, guys. He had a graph.
Dang.
By the way, just so that anybody knows, there's 2 million. This is Amazon doesn't give the actual numbers, but it's estimated there's 2 million 3P sellers. 50,000 is the number that sell 10 grand a month. So, by the way, if you're selling 10 grand a month, you're top 5%, and I think it's right around 30,000 that you're top 1%.
Yeah, it's insane. Absolutely insane. And you guys, it doesn't matter if you're doing Amazon, eBay, whatever type of business model you do, you kind of see that wherever you go. There's a lot of people that love to kind of take a step into the door, but the people who actually go in with it, focus on it, and scale it up, it's sadly, it's always going to be on the smaller end.
I mean, you know, one of the things that I think people overlook is there's a lot of people that, you know, talk about like how time consuming Amazon is and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't really track my time, but I know that I work more than 40 hours a week. I enjoy my time very much though, you know, like, and I work that hard because, you know, I can take a day off to go out to Pittsburgh and watch some guy lie to me about Amazon. I can take a week off to go to a cruise in Miami, but I work 60 to 70 hours a week.
Mhm.
However, there's a lot of people that work 60 to 70 hours a week for minimum wage. Okay. And I've worked really crappy jobs sometimes. You know, when I've needed the money, I've worked at gas stations. I've worked at when I was like real young, I worked at grocery stores. I've done construction, um, anything like that. You know, I would much, much rather make, you know, good money working 60 hours a week on my own terms than make crappy money cleaning bathrooms for 60 hours a week. So that's kind of the thing.
Yeah, you just nailed it. It just reminded me of some of my favorite comments I get on YouTube. It's usually when I give like these, you know, here's my estimated profit on this Nike trip or whatever it was, some of my older videos. Man, I always get these comments that they're like, yeah, but you didn't include your drive time, how much time you spent packing stuff up, blah, blah, blah. Like they're always trying to nitpick every little detail. And it cracks me up because I'm thinking, you know what? I used to work those 50 hours a week at a job I hated away from my family. I will happily pack these boxes and spend more time doing it because I get to blast my own music and I get to hang out with my 3-year-old son out here.
Exactly, exactly. I was listening to an interview with Bradley Cooper one time, and he was just talking about, he was doing an interview at like 6 in the morning. He's like, oh man, I am beat, I'm tired. And somebody says, oh, like, do you not like this? And he's like, oh, no, no, no. I used to do construction. I was a ditch digger. This is way better than that. And I still had to wake up for 6 o'clock in the morning. So I love my job. I'm tired, you know, and you know, I wake up some mornings and I don't want to do it. I mean, sometimes I take a day off, but for the most part, you know, it's not bad.
Yeah, totally. It's
Living on your terms is just the best. It's the best.
You cannot beat it. And once you get into it, like you literally will have to get drugged, and you'll just have a limp, dead body if you ever get drugged back to work for somebody else. It's just our mind. Once you make that click, it just doesn't go back.
Yeah.
Yes, confirming that is. Somebody asked if that was gross or net on that stat for the 10K.
Gross. It would be gross, I think. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether it doesn't really matter. It's not 91%. There's no way that it's 91%.
But you have to buy my course because it's true. They let me do merchant, but no longer gives me the option for FBA. Is that because I'm a new seller?
You know, I think they sent out that email a couple weeks back about the restrictions. I don't know. I would contact Amazon.
Yeah, William, in that case, definitely contact Amazon. I'm not sure if you're referring to the toy situation. It's actually reversed. I don't remember what the cutoff date was, but it was September something. If you did not sell any toys merchant filled by September, whatever it was, you're not able to merchant fill toys during Q4. You can do that after January, basically, but you can do FBA. I remember that was a question I had, and before I started the Rockstars group, I was in a couple other Facebook groups, and I freaked out because my first shipment went in on November 17th, and I remember I got that email about the toys, and I freaked out because in my head I didn't read all the way through. I just saw you can't sell toys, and I'm like, oh shit, I just sent in so many toys, and somebody had to confirm, like, no, you can still do FBA. As a new seller with toys, you just cannot merchant fill them if you did not already have merchant filled orders.
I'm actually going to do something different this year that I've never done before. I picked up some grocery that's it's hazmat, but not really hazmat kind of stuff, and it's ranked like 500 in grocery. I'm going to break even on it with shipping and everything, and I forget what the limit is, but I bought 48 of them, and I'm going to merchant fulfill them so that I can have, because you have to send. I have to look at it because I think I might have had to have done toys though. I'll have to look. But either way, I just want to merchant fulfill some toys so that I can beat that restriction, because I never merchant fulfill. I just don't do it. I'm way too lazy to do it. So I'd like to get that so that I can do a little bit of merchant fulfilling this year.
Nice, nice. That's a solid game plan there. You guys, right there, you got mega seller who's still experimenting in trial and error. You guys have got to put in that work. Yeah, definitely.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, like seriously, like don't be afraid to fail. Like, because the thing is that if you fail, if I have little failures, it's not that big a deal.
True story on that. Sweet. Looks like we tackled through all those. So if you guys have any more questions, drop those below. So Chris, I know you had kind of a few bullet points you wanted to cover. So Q4 tips, right? We've got a lot of new sellers. This may be their first round through here. Maybe they've got a little bit of capital. Maybe they don't on startup. Whatever the case may be, what are some of the best practices that you can give these guys to really kind of push through and make this a successful experience for them?
Well, take care of yourself. Number one, too many people, they think like, oh, I have to work 60 hours a week. I have to work 80 hours a week. I won't be successful. Remember that the people that do that, you guys are going to get burnt out early December. And I'm still going to be like, I'm good, man, because I don't really do that. So, I'm not yeah, I work 12-hour days and stuff like that. But, I'm not like 18-hour days and stuff like that where I'm, getting 2 hours of sleep and no. I do 8 hours of sleep, normal person stuff. So in, early December, you got, people that are all doing that, they're all burnt out, they're dead to the world. And I'm just like, hey man, I'm good. I'm slow and steady here. And there's a saying about slow and steady and winning races. So that's what I focus on. Really look at Camel, and Keepa, especially if a toy has history. If you can look at it and you can look at it where it was last year, what happened with it, there are items that are perennially always profitable and always go up in value. I'm not going to name what they are, obviously, because I'm going to buy them or I've already bought them. But when you scan an item, there's one particular item, and the Keepa chart goes back 1,200 days. Wow. Okay, and that's 2 years. So I forget what it was, but it was 3 Christmases. So it's longer than that. And you look and you just see the price skyrocket, the rank get crazy good, and I can buy it right now. And it's sitting in Walmart right now. Everybody could go buy it. It's $688. You can go buy it right now. Look for a toy that's $688. Rank's bad. It's not profitable now, but for the last 3 Christmases, it has been. So I'm going to venture to guess it will be this year. And, I picked up 50 of them. So, hey, if I fail miserably, I'll break even on it.
I just got because there's probably a couple thousand people that end up watching this video. I just got this vision of a couple thousand people run into Walmart. It's like, okay, dang it, that's $788. Okay, $688, scan it. I love it.
Yeah. It's in every Walmart.
Looks like we've got a request for a. You have to know Chris to get this, Joe, guys. They need a Arbitrage webinar.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, if you look me up on YouTube, there's a bra video that I sit down with Chris Grant and talk about bras. If you're interested in that, I sell a lot of bras. That's what the joke is. I do a lot of Kohl's, a lot of bras. So the other big tip that I have is to carefully understand discounts. Okay, there's a lot of discounts that are going to come and go this year, this Q4. If you can find them, if you can find when the discounts are best, you can get a drop on people. Okay, and instead of competing with people that bought that item at full price, you bought it for 30% off plus 10% back on eBay plus 2% credit card cash back. So you're at what, 42% off? Okay, versus people that bought it at full price. So you can, when you're, people are always complaining about the stuff crashing. The prices on things falling. Well, if you have 42% to play with, there's a lot, if you could sell everything at a 42% profit, it's not too bad. And I'm basing that off a real thing that, happened last year. And another thing, going back to the not being afraid to fail, there will be races to bottom. There will be products you sell at a loss. There will be products that you lose money on. But if you don't have a lot of capital, go wide, buy 1 or 2 of everything. Or whatever you can afford to buy. Okay. You know, I have a little bit more capital than some people, and I have a lot less capital than some people. So, you know, for me to go out and spend, you know, $10,000 at one sale, like that's not uncommon. But, you know, I'm not putting it all on one item. I still don't do that. I'm not putting it all on one item. If I spend $10,000, I'm probably putting it on maybe 20 items, $500 on 20 items. And again, I'll probably fail on 10% of those. But on the 90% that do work well, you know, there's enough money in that.
Awesome. I love it. Thanks for sharing that. Best scanning app.
Oh man, you use Inventory Lab, right?
Oh yeah.
Scoutify too?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Scout,
not also. No, not also. Scoutify 2.
Oh, okay.
They
No.
updated it.
I've not heard of the updated one.
Okay, everybody. Scoutify 2. Search for it. It's there. And it's amazing. It looks a little different. It won't show right. No, my phone won't do it right. But it is the update to Scoutify. So I use Amazon Seller app all the time. That's almost exclusively what I use. But I do use Scoutify quite a bit because it's so easy to pull the Keepa charts and the rank charts up and stuff like that. So when I'm using that, those are the only two I really use. I do have a Bluetooth scanner that I barely ever use. I've maybe used it maybe 2 or 3 trips and just don't really like it. But I actually have a phone case that I glued it onto and stuff like that. I should probably use it more.
I just downloaded it. I don't know how I was completely out of loop on that one.
They've not really done a lot with it, but I haven't had any problems with it. Like the freeze, like you know how we would use Scoutify, and it would like after like a dozen scans, it would freeze up on you.
Yeah.
Doesn't do that anymore. I was using it pretty heavily.
Nice.
Another tip you guys might want is I always have 2 phones with me, and it's not just because I'm a huge Kevin Gates fan. It's because I have Google Fi. This is a Pixel XL. So I have service with, I forget who I have service with, but it's with Google. I forget who their carriers are, but it's 3 carriers. US Cellular, I know one Sprint, and I think the other is T-Mobile. And it's amazing. And then I have Verizon. So like basically, especially if you're rural. I mean, if you're in an urban city and you always have service, don't worry about it. But another thing is if you got a phone that you can put a battery on, like a battery backup. This is a Note 4 with a 300% battery pack on it. Okay, so this thing will scan all day. I never have to charge it. You know, I do charge it in my van. I have a fast charger for it. But I mean, if you're running into a problem like you got an iPhone that you're not getting enough service on or not getting enough power on, get a battery backup. You know, it looks weird to walk around with a battery backup in your back pocket, but I'm making good money here. I don't care. I'll look weird for that.
That was probably the #1 investment I think we've ever made, was just a fat battery pack for both of our phones.
Yep. I keep a fast charger in my car. It's one of those like 20,000 mAh ones, and I mean it'll charge my phone. My Pixel will charge completely in like half an hour.
Oh man,
so
amazing. When is the next biggest selling period after Q4?
Depends on what you sell.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to what you're talking about with the trends of holidays and different things like that.
Yeah, if you missed it, I definitely recommend buy the book Profit First from the publisher. They'll send you the book Surge for free. And I mean, you know, if you're doing grocery, it depends on what you're doing. I am having a huge grocery spike right now. And it's because I've carefully selected my grocery products to hit seasonal grocery items. And, you know, I was telling Charles before I got on, I just shipped out, I filled my cargo van twice today. And it was a $30,000 shipment of groceries. And, you know, it's not, actually, there was no candy in it. Not a single item of candy. Because people are asking if I'm selling candy. I am, but that wasn't it. So, you know, but it's all seasonal. I know I'm looking at the charts. I'm seeing what's selling and what's not, and hitting what's selling.
Nice. This gets into kind of programs and softwares. What do you use to track your inventory?
Inventory Lab.
Yep. Had that. Have you had that since the beginning too?
No, I did not. I had said that when I didn't know. When I first started out, I did not have inventory lab.
So were you manually tracking on Excel, or what were you doing back then?
I was not tracking. And then I got it in January because I joined a mastermind group. And I want to say it was Leron. If you've ever met Leron Hershikorn, great guy. I think he told me that he was going to kick me out of the group if I didn't get inventory lab. So I was like, okay, fine. So yeah, don't be me. Get inventory lab day one.
You just thought, hey, there's money coming in every 2 weeks. That's all I care about.
Yeah, my first payout was more than I invested, so nice. I knew I was doing something right. But yeah,
that is hilarious.
But also, yeah, I was using 30 ups and stuff, so it was bad.
And what website / program is there to get OA data?
Do you use Tactical Bucket, Charles?
I do.
Okay, Tactical Bucket, that's good. Tactical Arbitrage, of course. I think that one of the failings a lot of people have is they either overthink or underthink. So that right there is a problem. I was talking to somebody it was in Rockstars, and I did an explanation on how to. It was like, look in Rockstars. I think it's titled "How to Get Rich Selling Grocery," and I just break it down. And somebody says to me, "Well, what about in like 3 to 5 years? Because they bought, I'm looking at 3 to 5 years. They just bought Whole Foods. What are you going to do in 3 to 5 years?" I was like, dude, I get 90-day payment on my groceries. I'm concerned 91 days from now. Okay, that's my scope. So that's somebody way overthinking. And I said this, and they kind of were like, "Oh, well, I want to play the big picture." I'm like, and of course, talking themselves out of making money selling grocery in the terms of playing the big picture. And then some people way underthink things, so they just send stuff in and don't even read about it, don't even read the TOS. So the thing is, you got to be in the right setting. So one of the biggest pieces of data is just your mind. Like, what are people buying in September and October? What do you think? What did you eat as a kid in October? What did you do as a kid in October? What do you do as an adult in October? Sell that. I mean, sell yourself. So, sell to yourself.
Exactly, guys. It's the game of supply and demand. Anytime we see people, especially in the Facebook groups, it's notorious to see people like, anyone else having a super slow day? Like, slow days will happen, but it's when you start to complain like, oh, I've had a really slow month, I've had a really slow couple months. Like, you're just not selling what's in demand. We're in that supply and demand business, guys. So go where that attention is.
Yeah. I'm real annoyed. I just had Amazon find, thankfully, a whole bunch of snow cone makers that they had lost and reimbursed me on. Well, snow cone makers don't do well in October. So I now have a dozen snow cone makers, and I'm like, selling those at cost.
You guys could have just not found those.
They're the worst with me.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I had that happen. This was early on. I was going to Dollar Tree and buying up a bunch of Avengers puzzles. Don't go to Dollar Tree, guys. Trust me, that ball game's over on those specific puzzles. But back then, I was buying them for $1 and I was selling them for like $12.99. Yeah. And I did a couple hundred of them my first couple months. And Amazon lost an entire box of them. And it was a shipment, but it was like 4 boxes of them. And same thing, they sent me the big old reimbursement. I'm all excited, jacked up. It's like $400. I was all excited. Then they found them a week later. So there goes my $400, and I was stuck with those.
I had a grocery item that they lost, and I forget how long it was lost for. But basically, by the time they found it, it was expired.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dang.
And it was like a fast-selling one, too.
Yeah. Is inventory lab the only way to get that Dymo printer to not be a PETA?
I believe you can use list label ship.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I would tell you. Okay, inventory lab tip, and people argue with me all the time, and they say, well, I shouldn't have to do that. You're right. But as Dr. Phil says, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Buy the cheapest laptop you can find. Okay, Walmart, $100. You can buy a Windows laptop for $100. It will do everything you need to do for this business for $100. Get the Dymo to work, get Firefox to work, or Chrome, or whatever you want to use. Get everything to work, then turn off all updates. Okay? Then it will never stop working. Okay? So if you actually check the updates on my work laptop, it's 2 years old.
Oh man.
I have 2 years of Windows updates. I am certain, like, I have turned off all of the security. Is you can only visit Amazon Seller Central and Inventory Lab. Like, no emails, no nothing, no Scout or Spotify, no Netflix. But I have no issue with it ever. It always works.
Nice. Tactical arbitrage, tactical bucket is now integrated with the new easy bulk builder. If you guys don't know what tactical arbitrage is, it's in my line of videos I'm going to be doing soon, but I'm going to do a whole video breakdown of all that. Plus there's already tons of videos online. Just search tactical arbitrage. I know Chris Grant, I'm a big fan of his. He's put out some great videos on that, plus Alex, the creator. And then I know you have public videos as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, Chris is, we'll link Chris Anderson here. We'll link all of his stuff in the description below after we're done here. So you can find his YouTube channel, his Facebook group, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there on that.
And tips for intermediate sellers. So these are going to be the next level up. Maybe they've got $5 grand, 10 grand plus to work with.
Well, I think that once you get, this is the level of seller that I like to work with, because what I found is most people, when they start out, they have, so I had $3,500. I spent it all in a few days, and then I was out of money. And then I just sat there, couldn't do anything, had no money. And then I got my reimbursement or my disbursement, spent it, didn't have anything, you know. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to run out of money. Okay, you're going to be in this cycle where you don't have any money. Then you're going to run out of time. Okay, that's the next thing that you're going to run out with. You're going to get your $10,000 disbursement or $20,000 disbursement. You can't spend it fast enough. Okay, then you're going to figure that out, or hopefully you figure that out. You're then going to run out of space. That's where I am right now. Well, where I was. That's why I have my warehouse, and I've now run out of space. So the biggest thing to any seller, and not just intermediates, but particularly intermediates are the people that need this advice, is to look at where you're spending your money and where you're spending your time, and how can you do it better. If your prep is taking you so long and it's, you know, so time consuming, since you're linking to my YouTube channel, I did a whole video on how to improve your prep setup, and then I did a whole video on prep tools I use, and like those little things, like this little alcohol dispenser, you just touch down on and alcohol shoots up onto your paper towel. That saves you time, you know, and that kind of stuff. So you run into, when you're an intermediate seller, you're having these time and money issues. And if you're looking at the time, you know, it's very easy to resolve that and get more efficient with time.
Outstanding. You just nailed that right on the head, man. How much OA are you doing right now versus RA? Are you 50-50? Do you lean more towards one or the other?
A lot of what I do is I do OA to pick up in store. That's what I've been very successful with. So I would probably say at this point, I want to say that wholesale has taken over about a third of my business. So I would probably say that I'm a third. Okay. And wholesale may take up more soon.
Awesome. Cool. I think that's all the questions there. Do you have any last minute pointers? Anything you want to cover? I think you covered a lot throughout the last hour.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, just, you know, in all things in life, in all things, you know, remember, you're not an Amazon seller. You're an entrepreneur. Don't live and die by Amazon. Okay. You know, I see people get suspended and they're like going to jump off a building. Don't do that. Okay. You know, I used to be an Etsy seller. I'm no longer an Etsy seller. And then I had my own website. You know, like, I don't define myself by the platform. Okay. And Amazon, FBA is not a business. Okay. It is a distribution model of a business. So remember that. Okay. You are not just an Amazon seller. You can sell on eBay. You can sell on Jet, Walmart, locally. I mean, I hustle all that stuff. I have stuff at auctions right now. I have stuff on eBay. I have stuff going all over the place. Okay. I have stuff on Facebook for sale. I buy stuff there to sell at auction. You know, I'm all over the place. And that gives me security that if I was 100% on Amazon and all my eggs were in the Amazon basket and it went away or something happened, I would be in a very bad position. But the way it is now, Amazon is a large, it's more than half of my income, but it's not my sole income. You know, somebody
nailed that.
Yeah. Did another question come in, Charles?
Looks like the last one we just had pop up here. What's your average ROI that you're seeing?
So that's the thing. I always shoot for 100%. I always want to double my money. Now, I do not double my money all the time. I was just looking at bras today, and my average ROI, I just dropped a lot of prices on bras. My average ROI on bras is 138%. In grocery, it's right around 90%. So, you know, those are good margins. However, you know, that doesn't take into account shipping, my labor costs, that kind of stuff. So my effective ROI in my business is closer to about right around 25%. And that's like everything after my net.
Awesome. I love it. Wouldn't it make sense for beginners to focus? It's solid advice, but I know that I easily suffer from shiny penny syndrome.
Isn't it shiny object syndrome, shiny penny syndrome? Okay. What did they say what to focus on?
I think it's in regards to the, you know, having multiple distribution platforms.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you know, if you know, let's say you're an eBay ace, focus a little bit on eBay and build your Amazon slowly. The biggest thing I would recommend is you don't need to be an expert in everything you sell. I mean, I sell groceries that I don't even know. I've never tasted. I don't know what a caper is, but I sell a ton of them, you know? So the thing is that with that, you can focus on something that you maybe know enough about. I mean, listen, I sell bras and I very rarely wear one, you know? I just know enough through the research that I've done and thinking about it to know that. So, you know, if you focus on one thing, you know, shoes or books or something, you don't need to exclusively do that. But, you know, if you can build up like a little nest egg of some books and you get real confident with books and then like, hey, let me try some shoes. Let me try some bras. Let me try some grocery. You know, because I mean, I was doing straight RA, and I was like, oh, you know, I'll never get OA. And now I'm pretty, you know, I just filled my cargo van. I had like 25 boxes delivered to my front porch while I was at work today. All OA.
Outstanding. I love what somebody said here. I think if you're just starting out, it's probably better to start on eBay than grow into Amazon.
I see. I mean, I don't want to discourage anybody. Okay. I've done posts where I'm like, hey, listen, you're probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur, but I don't want to discourage somebody, but I want to talk the reality of this. I do not believe that you should start this business with $1,000 or $500 unless you're like only doing books. Like if you start with $500 and you buy shoes, like what are you going to get? $1,000? You're going to get 50 pairs of shoes. You're not going to get daily sales with that. You're just not. But if you start with books and you can buy books for $1 and you have 1,000 books, like you're fine. So the thing is that some people, they start out with too small of a goal. I had somebody that, you know, like literally his goal is just pay off his credit card and it's like $400 a month. But like the amount of work that he ends up doing for it, I think you would almost make more money working at McDonald's. You know, and that's kind of the grim reality of it, because you have your $40 Amazon fee, inventory lab, tactical arbitrage is $100 a month if you buy that. Yeah, that's $200 right there. You know, that's a Honda lease payment. You know what I mean? You add you know, a couple things onto that. Next thing you know, you have a Mercedes lease.
Do you use any auto price adjusters, repricers?
I use BQ. I was using App Eagle for a long time, but I switched over to BQ because I did not feel that App Eagle was repricing my things fast enough for me. And I now use BQ, and I've been relatively happy with it.
Awesome. I think this next one is going to be a good segue. When will you guys start helping out intermediate to advanced sellers? So I think this is going to be a really good segue into kind of what our little announcement is for this thing. So I told you guys straight up, like Tristan and I, I don't know what the hell we were doing last year, but we didn't do our e-commerce business at all last Q4. We just didn't. Focus was in other areas. So this year, now that we're really, really trying to get into it, there was one thing that I knew I wanted to get into, and Chris we just happened to connect at the right time that even me personally was looking to get into this. So Chris, if you want to take it over, kind of announce what we have in store for the guys.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to do, last year I run Facebook groups that are like Bolo groups. And I had started with one that was just Amazon flips. I was just posting Amazon shoe flips. It was kind of a weird thing. And then I did a Q4 group last year, and I had 100 people in it. It was really successful. And then I segued that into running a group all year that's been really awesome. I have over 100 people in it all year, and they've been real happy with it. And now I'm segueing into another Q4 group that people can join. In last year, so, we're shooting right now this year for 600 bolos for all of Q4. Last year, we actually hit over 1,000 because I ran out of money. Like I ran out of money and I couldn't get more stuff out. So I didn't have anything else to do, and I wanted to feel productive. So, but we do a Black Friday list. We do Black Friday live sourcing, and it's me and you guys know Tyler Nelson, and also Matt Colvin is partnered up with us and is working with us pretty extensively. And we've launched this. We're just now getting people into it. We have I think like 30 people right now. I'm adding my group but putting an offer out. I'm probably going to have over 50 this week. And it's been going real well, and a lot of people have been pretty happy with it. I posted the first bolos for it. I launched on the 1st, and I posted the first bolos today. I posted a whole bunch of Halloween bolos. I think like 10 Halloween bolos that like right now you can buy, and it was like all like 200 to 300% ROI stuff. So
nice. And I hear Tyler is going to be putting together a pretty epic video game list too.
Tyler's video game list is like life-changing. Like I love selling bras because they're small, they're light, they sell real fast. Video games do too, just they're a lot more expensive. And I mean, he's putting together video games. I mean, some of these, the ROI, I mean, he's buying them for $20, selling them for 65, and he's sharing that right in the group. And it was amazing last year. That alone, the way that I always focus group is when you're talking about help for beginners to intermediate. Like beginners are fine in this group. I don't want people that have never sent in an Amazon shipment.
Mm-hmm.
If you send in an Amazon shipment, you're qualified. And then we have people that are, 30,000 to 100,000 a month. And then we have a couple people that are in the group from last year. One guy just joined in. He's $1 million a year seller. And, he came back for it. But with that, what I always focus on is the education. That's like I'm the ringleader of the education. And then we want the bolos, which are amazing, to pay for the group. Mm-hmm. Okay. But there were a lot of people that, last year were just buying thousands of dollars of stuff and made buttloads of cash on it last year. So that makes me happy. But I like to think that the education is very important, because I almost feel that there would be a market for an education-only group, but I don't want to test those waters.
I love that you're doing that too. I mean, I've heard of Q4 Bolo specific groups for a while, and going into this year, it's been on my mind for the last couple months. So when you and I connected, it was just like pristine timing for our personal business. But there's so many people out there. They just want to like, here's the bolo, here's the bolo, here's the bolo. Okay, peace out, go make your money. So I love the fact that you actually care enough that you're actually in there giving the education, because you want to not just post the bolo, but you want to teach them the premise behind why that's a bolo to begin with, how to learn to read the Keepa chart on it even better, all that small stuff that goes in with it.
Oh yeah, and this weekend I'm gonna start. I was gonna try to do it today, but I didn't have cell phone reception in the store I was at that I posted the bolos from. So that's why I have 2 phones, because I can go live and throw one in my pocket, my shirt pocket, and actually show you my phone, so I can like scan stuff and say, hey, I will buy this. This is why. Here's why. and, oh, I'm not going to buy this, and this is why. I mean, some of it's obvious. You scan a $50 item and it's selling for 40 on Amazon, so that's a no-brainer. But there's also, I think that people overlook in Bolo groups, hey, buying this. But there's also, I think, a lot of importance to listening to somebody say, this is why I'm not buying this. You know, because you can learn from, it's not a mistake not to buy something, but you could preempt a mistake.
Awesome. I like what you're doing with your group too. This is a question that you can answer for that. Is the group going to be capped?
Okay, so the group is not capped, but here's how it works. All the education stuff, everybody gets. All of the Black Friday stuff, everybody gets. All the video game list, everybody gets. Now, the reason we do it that way is the Black Friday stuff. I mean, we're going to do Black Friday at Target, Walmart, so on. It's limited in what you'll be able to potentially buy. So not everybody's going to be able to buy everything. So I don't see why, you know, and it's going to end up probably with about 100 people in it that are going to see just that list. However, the bolos are only going to be seen by 50 people. So everybody's actually going to be in 2 Facebook groups. So there's the main education group. Any questions you have, you ask there. You know, me, Tyler, Matt, we're always patrolling it. You know, I actually answered a couple questions. If you saw me on my phone, it was people from the group asking me questions. So we can get that, you know, like 45-second response time, like, you know, boom. But in the bolos, we post those so that only 50 people. Now, I didn't see a lot of people worry about oversaturation in bolo groups. I think 100 would be fine, but I think 50 people will like it better. That's all.
Nailed it.
And that was the structure I've done all year with my group, and I did a survey and found that people were very happy with that. So that's the structure that I'm using, because it's what I thought would work, and it's worked, and I've tweaked it, and that's where we're at.
Awesome. Somebody asked what the name of the group is, and I can probably let them know this is not going to be a group that you can just search and join. There's a registration process. So that we've already had several people that are asking, how do they get signed up? What's the next step?
Okay. Well, Charles, you got the link, so you share the link. You know, and I'm gonna bug you actually. One of the big things that I think we do different than any group is it's not just me talking about stuff. It's not just Tyler. It's not just Matt. We're gonna bring in people. So I'm gonna try to bother Charles to come and talk in the group. And we already have somebody lined up that's a credit card expert.
Nice.
Okay, and all he's gonna talk about is credit card cash back. We're going to get Chris Bond was in the group last year and talked about gas rewards. We're going to get Chris Bond back. It was amazing. We have somebody that I'm going to try to show like some account maintenance tips and actually show. I have multiple Amazon accounts, and I have an account that they can just go into and show and like not have to be like all secret and clandestine. Like, okay, here's the account. This is me, and like do it as a live thing. So like those kinds of things, like nobody else is offering those. And that's what I think is so cool.
Outstanding. That's amazing. Yeah. And if you guys are ready to get signed up, we do have a link for this. So in the description of this video, so if you're on live right now in the chat, I haven't posted it, but on the description of this video, and it'll be posted inside of the Rockstars group. Worst case scenario, message myself or Chris. We can get you guys hooked up with the link. So you basically go there. Chris did I love the cave video that you did, standing in front of one of his favorite hangout spots in front of a cave. So he breaks everything down. There's a whole laundry list of what you get with it, the value that's provided, and you go through the registration that way.
Yeah. And you know, there's a refund policy on it. Last year I had one person get a refund, and I think I think they were hustling me. But you know, and I think the biggest testament is the first like 10 people that signed up were the people from last year. And then I have more people that are like, they're kind of filtering in from last year. So that's been good. And I'm hoping to get right around 50% of the people from last year, which if you guys know anything about e-commerce retention, 50%, you don't get that. You get 5% maybe. So to even be at 10% right now, I think I'm at 15% right now at this moment. I'd have to look it over, but to be at 15% is great. And then my goal is 50. So
yeah, that's amazing. Congrats on that. I know you guys, if none of you join, that's fine. I'm just excited, even for own.
Yeah. And listen, you know, you guys add me on Facebook. You know, feel free to message me if you ever have any questions. Like, don't feel bad messaging me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I believe that. I believe that, you know, the tide raises all ships. So if I can help somebody, you know, I get people from like rock stars that like call me, or, you know, I've Skyped with people. I just did a Skype with somebody that, you know, they're not paying me. I mean, I just, you know, if I have 15 minutes to kill, I'll kill 15 minutes talking to somebody if I can help them. But when I get done with this, like as soon as I get done, I got a phone call with one of the people from the group, you know, so, you know, it's whatever. And I enjoy that. I love this business. So I love to talk about this business too.
That's amazing. That's
and
why
my family's all sick and tired of it. So it gets,
yeah.
I get it out that way.
And I love it. You know, that's why we have this little like community of us that give a damn about the people. That's why we get along so well. I'm just excited. It's gonna be amazing.
I think it's going to be amazing too, and I'm excited. I was going to talk to you because, you know, you and I will be in Miami together, and I'd love to sit down with you and talk to you about some stuff because, you know, also part of the group is we do. I mean, it's, don't get me wrong, it's 99% FBA, but I mean, we do talk about other stuff. I mean, you know, I sell stuff at auctions all the time. I buy stuff from auctions all the time. Like, I'll share how to do that. Facebook. I was just talking the other day about selling on Facebook. I mean, I was lucky enough to get Hatchimals last year, but it was too late in the season to sell them on Amazon. But I was able to sell them real fast for a few, you know, I don't even remember what I made, but it was all cash last year, turning $65 into $120. It's not rocket surgery, you know?
I love it. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I saw a crap ton of stuff on Facebook Marketplace lately, just because you get to skip the fees, the shipping. There's a few headaches. You and I both know, you know, some people don't show up. Some people are just back and forth. But aside from that, it's like, it's just straight cash and done. That's what I love about it.
Straight cash and done. You do run into a lot of people that are away at sea and need to have a shipping agent come and pick it up from you. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah,
the Nigerian prince. Yeah. But also an important thing about eBay and Amazon, or eBay and Facebook marketplaces, is Amazon has a very long cash cycle. So you buy something, you ship it, it gets received, it gets sold, it gets shipped, you get reimbursed for it. That could be a month. If you sell a product that sells like the day it hits, it could still be 2 pay periods, 28 days. But with Facebook Marketplace, you grab a Hatchimal for $65, post it for sale on the Facebook Marketplace, you can deliver it on your way home. You know what I mean? That cash cycle is instant. And a lot of people don't realize that. You know, and then I have $120 in my hand. Okay, go and buy this to get it back into Amazon, you know, and that cash cycling can be really powerful.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's why I love doing that. And that's something I would love to come into the group if I can provide any type of value for you.
I follow what you're doing with your challenge. And you know, I love that the guy that like traded a paperclip for a house and you know, that kind of stuff. And that happens, but I mean, not necessarily on that extreme. Well, I mean, it does happen on that extreme, but you know, it's not impossible to turn a couple $100s into a few $1,000s hustling. And you know, Amazon is just a great way to do it. It's a very efficient way to do it, but it's definitely not the only way to do it.
Yep, right there with you. Awesome, man. Well, Chris,
do anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, now's your time to speak.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
I think we're good.
Okay, man.
Well, Chris, thank you again, man. I know it's I'm on West Coast, so it's still early in my time, but we've got 9:30 your time right now.
9:30, dude. I wake up at noon.
I was gonna say being the night owl, that's still early for you too.
Yeah, I'm just starting my second day of work.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks again, man. We really
no problem. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Q4 group. If you guys are interested, just check out the link below in the description. Check out the Facebook group, FBA Rockstars and eBay Rockstars. The link will be posted in there tonight as well. But aside from that, man, thank you so much. Have a good night. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much, guys. It was good to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Guys, have a good night. We'll see you next time.